Today, we're going to talk about another critical aspect of human behavior management. That is all about influencing human behavior. How do we do that? But before we really speak about the influencing strategies, there is a critical question that we need to actually take a call on. What is the ideal medium that we should use to influence human behavior? Given the sheer number of people using the smartphones, and also given the sheer increase in the usage of smartphones, there is no doubt that one of the most important mediums that we should use as far as communication is concerned is the smartphone. But it's just not the number of people using the smartphones that makes this an ideal medium of communication. There's another aspect about this particular medium which is very peculiar as compared to the traditional mediums. The traditional mediums of communication, whether it's the newspaper or whether it's the television, the amount of time we interacted with the medium would have been few minutes, maybe few hours. But for the first time, as far as the smartphone is concerned, with the arrival of the smartphones, we have a medium that is always on and more so always with us. The whole waking up hours, I think this medium is with us. Now that uniqueness of this medium makes it a very powerful medium that would undoubtedly make it the ideal medium of communication, not just in future, but even today. So in order to understand this medium a bit more better, we did a research. Research was conducted among the 20 to 30-year-olds who are the digital natives. The first real output we got from the research was about the amount of time people spend on the smartphones. And what we found is that people are spending close to 4 hours per day on an average. Every year, this number too is definitely increasing. But we also went in for another interesting data point. That was about the data point was all about the number of times I touch a smartphone screen. But why did we go for that particular data point? Because for us, the number of times I touch the mobile phone screen is as equivalent as touching the remote, more so the channel changing button of a TV remote. Every time I touch the channel button of a television, the channel changes. The editorial context of the television changes. The context is actually changing. The same is the scenario when it comes to touching the smartphone screen. Every time I touch a smartphone screen, almost always the editorial context too changes. And we know that stimuli, the advertising that we put up on any medium, should ideally be attached or related to the editorial context of it. But more than that, it's also important the amount of time the editorial context is actually in front of us. Studies shows as far as television is concerned, 90 percentile or the time at which the context is in front of the viewer of a television is about 5 minutes. 95 percentile, I think it's 21 minutes. So 5 to 21 minutes is fairly a long time, and it's fairly easy to put in a 30-second stimuli, a 30-second advertisement in that particular context. But when it comes to a smartphone, we found some very interesting data points. We found that 75% of the interactions on the smartphones are less than 3 seconds. 90% of the interactions on the smartphones are less than 5 seconds. 95% of the interactions are less than 10 seconds. So what we are finding is that the context duration of the smartphone at a broad level is about 5 to 10 seconds. Now, this is a very significant discovery. And that discovery is that this medium, the smartphone medium, the interaction is a very fleeting interaction. People tend to move in and out of this particular medium, the context of this medium, very fast. And so the stimuli that we create for this particular medium then have to be different from what we have developed so far, more so for the television industry. If the interaction, the context duration of this particular medium is just from 5 to 10 seconds, then the stimuli that we create in that particular medium, in this particular medium, should ideally be a micro stimuli, a stimuli that works in milliseconds. There is no doubt, given the sheer number of users, the sheer increase in the usage, that this smartphone is the medium of the future. But given the new understanding that we're developing about the context duration of this particular medium, that it is just 5 to 10 seconds most of the time, we also are called in to develop a new type of a stimuli, microstimuli, stimuli that works in milliseconds. So the future is all about the smartphone, but the future is all about the micro stimuli.